What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Creating Wealth Podcast, where I, Kyle, from Kyle Curtin Real Estate, interview local top dogs in the real estate investing, wealth building, and personal finance industries. Let's build together. Welcome to episode 12 of the podcast. Today, I am interviewing Jeremy Wirths. He is a great local investor with a single-family property up in Maine, as well as being a part of a syndication down in Georgia. There are some really good gems in this episode, and I hope you enjoy. Let's jump right into the episode. What's going on, Jeremy? How are you, man? How's everything going?
It's going. Snowing again.
Yep.
But still expected up here in the Northeast.
Yeah, totally. So what got you into real estate, and what's kind of your backstory to start things off?
So my backstory, right out of high school, I went into public safety in various functions and did that for 10 years, and then enlisted in the Army at the young age of 28, spent just under 5 years in the Army, got out, defaulted to public safety because that's all I knew, but it always had an interest in real estate. I remember as a kid reading in the, because back then I'm that old, but back then the listings for real estate were in the Sunday paper, and I just remember reading through those. Obviously, being a kid, I really didn't know anything, but I just remember reading through them. And then in high school, I almost went to an arts and technology high school for architectural design, and it's always been something that's interested me. And then I fast forward to 2000, it's like 2009, 2010. I was part of Amway, and it's a great organization. Just never worked out for me, but the values are there, and they're all about education, and that's how I ended up reading Rich Dad Poor Dad. And that was the mind shift for me.
Yeah.
And then from there, that's what's really started me on real estate. And yeah, well, while I was in the Army, got my first property in New York, in Syracuse, and ended up selling that. So yeah, that's kind of my start.
That's great, man. First off, thank you for your service. It's, very, very much appreciated. And could you kind of talk a little bit about the Amway program? I'm not too familiar with it.
Yeah, so it's the Amway it's a multi-level marketing program.
Okay.
But it unfortunately it gets a bad rap. But it is, it's a legit. It's been accredited. Accreditation in 1978. The Orlando Magic Arena is the Amway Center.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah. So, and actually, Betsy DeVos, who was the Department of Education, I can't remember her official title under the Obama administration, but she, it's her family that owns Amway. So, well, yes, it is a multi-level marketing program. It's legit. Everybody that I experienced within the organization was standout and fantastic. So it just didn't work out for me. So
yeah, that's really cool though. Something like that. You definitely have to be careful with some of those. But yeah. So when you were over in New York, were you? I don't really know how to ask this. I guess were you kind of like stationed over there, and you just saw, like properties around and stuff, and you just kind of picked it up, or?
yeah, no, I was stationed at Fort Drum, upstate New York, and the house was actually in Syracuse. So Fort Drum is directly north of Syracuse by almost an hour and a half on 81. And my wife was doing she had a job in Syracuse, and instead of us having two rents within an hour of each other, and part of her job, she had to be within the city limits of Syracuse. So that really only left one option, and that's for me to drive. So we got the house. She only had, her job there was only a year. It was actually like a mix between a job and advancing her education some more. So after that year was up, we ended up renting it out. We rented it out for 3 years, and then it just kind of the market had gone up, and the tenant that we had in there was leaving, and so we just was like, well, we didn't get anything else in that market, and so why don't we cash out and roll it into something else? So that's what we did.
That's awesome. That's not a bad way to start at all.
No.
So were you there, like downtown or not downtown, like down the way from that property for the whole 3 years? Or were you just in New York for like a year and then like managed it from afar?
Um. Let's see. For the next year, I was back up in Watertown, where Fort Drum is,
Hmm.
and so I was around for the first year, but then after that we were distant. We were down in North Carolina, so and we
That's
were
really
there.
cool though, man. That's great.
Yeah,
That's pretty
yeah.
awesome.
It all. I mean, it all ended up working out. We didn't buy it we didn't quote unquote buy it right. For it to be an investment property, we bought it for ourselves, and then it just ended up that somebody that we knew there needed a place to um, be, and the timing was right, and rents was right, and it all worked out. So
Perfect.
yeah.
That's great. Now, to segue right into things, what is your drive and your vision for the long term? What's your fire?
My fire
The fire.
is is that freedom, the time freedom, the financial freedom to go on and do be able to do other things and not have to worry about you know money. Because that's money tends to tie a lot of people to time,
Yep.
and once you can free up that relationship or cut that relationship, then it's a whole different ball game. So
Yeah, it totally is. That's a really awesome reason. Definitely, man. So about getting back to that property in New York a little bit. Would you mind kind of telling the story of like how you guys acquired that and like any lessons that you might have learned from it?
yeah. So what we were looking to spend for our primary residence wasn't a lot, and this just happened to come on the market at the right time. It was a newer build. It was actually a Habitat for Humanity build that was completed in 2012, and the family that moved in just outgrew it, and that's why they were selling it. So the when the home inspector went through the property, the worst thing that he found was that the garage door sensors were out of alignment. So it just
That's
we lucked
awesome.
out timing wise. Lessons learned. Um, I don't know. That one's tough because I think everything just kind of aligned for us, honestly, with that one.
Yeah.
So yeah, there were no major issues. Oh well, radon. There was a radon. We had to put a radon mitigation system in. So make sure, while you offers aren't always as attractable
Mhm.
with other several inspections, radon is something to consider. So like our picoliter rating was like 100 times what it's supposed to be in that property. So but
Wow.
so let's put it in the mitigation system, so it worked for us.
Yeah, that's not too bad that was just kind of it and everything kind of fell into place. Yeah, that's a dream.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow, that's impressive. What do you consider to be the biggest variable to expand your portfolio?
um network network expanding your network, and knowing your numbers. So because you need to know your numbers to know if you're buying right, and to make sure that it's going to be able to perform. And your network is you hear it all the time. The some of the five people that you spend the most time with. Not only that, but this really is a relationship business, and the stronger relationships that you can build, um, the better off you're going to be. So
Yeah, I totally agree, man. It's wicked crazy. And those go hand in hand too. Like if you might not be the best at running numbers, then, you network and you meet the people who are really good at it. They tend to tell you, a couple things here and there and help each other out and stuff. And, it's the networking is insane how like important that is and how many doors that can open for you.
Yeah, I mean, so for me, when we moved last year, we moved back up from North Carolina, and just outside of Manchester now. I didn't know, my sphere of influence is back in the Portland, Maine area where I grew up,
Yeah.
and down in Fayetteville where I spent 5 years, not here in Manchester. So I don't want to say I started out at ground zero. Like I had, I do have some family around here, but other than that, that's all I had. And so, and I've been able to expand my network pretty well in the year, I think. So that's the one thing that I knew that I had to do was in order to be successful was grow that. So I'd say
Mhm.
that would be one of the biggest things.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree. What's kind of like one of the big ways that worked for you, like to grow your network, like once you moved back?
Just figuring out how I can add value to other people.
Mhm.
Um, that was the biggest thing. If you help other people, it'll come first full circle. So
That's so true. I love it.
yeah.
Definitely. What is the most important lesson that you've learned over your career so far? This can be like real estate or, like the military or, like just life in general or anything you want to do.
Um, I mean, I think it goes back to the network and helping other people out. Again, I'm a full firm believer that if you help enough people, it's eventually gonna come back and only benefit you. So don't be afraid to give.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree. Even like it's kind of crazy too, if you just like go out and like are a good person and like you just want to go out and help people and stuff, like it just kind of like comes back to you sometimes. And like
Mhm.
you don't even expect it, like it just happens, like just from being a good person and stuff.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
crazy.
I'll add on that we all only have a certain amount of time on this earth, so you got to be selective to a certain point
Yeah.
as well. You got to spend your don't be afraid to give, but make sure that what you're giving has a purpose.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, I see what you're getting at. It's should be kind of um like an equal like force, I guess you could say, in one way or another.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. This question I really like. How do you define wealth?
Ooh, how do you define wealth? Well, and I mean, I guess I could throw it back at you and be like, in what sense?
Uh,
Monetarily, life?
um, honestly, I've never gotten hit with that question before. um, I guess in like, how about happiness?
Happiness. Okay. So I mean, wealth of happiness is I would think it would be in an abundance of happiness. You're surrounded by people that bring you happiness every day,
Hmm.
and so that would be my definition of wealth and happiness.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. What about um, what about financially? Just because why not?
Why not?
Yeah.
Financially, having not having to. So I guess wealth is being able to, because there's a difference between being rich and being right? Wealthy. So for me, I believe wealthy is not only not having to, um, you know, or having broken that time, money bond, but also having enough to be able to give and make a difference in the world.
Hmm.
So
I
I think once you reach that point that you can have enough to, be comfortable and then live your lifestyle that you want, but then have enough to give and make a difference, that's when you become wealthy.
I like that a lot, man. That's a big one. I love that, like the word you used earlier too, abundance. I
Mhm.
hear that, kind of thrown around a lot when it comes to talking about wealth and different aspects of your life. And it's kind of crazy too, like to get wealth and stuff in like the traditional sense, like financially, like we all like work to get money so much, and then it's pretty much like just to give it out again, like just kind of like pass it along, and be able to help out others like they're less fortunate, and to make sure everything's all right with your lifestyle, your family's lifestyle. And it's just kind of crazy in like the much bigger picture. Like we want it so bad and we work for it so bad, like just to give most of it away again.
Yeah. So a couple of my goals for 2021. So real quick, in the army, I was, I was a bomb dog handler,
Hmm.
and, I truly, truly enjoyed working with a working dog. Like having that partner is just an incredible experience, and to see them work is it's amazing. So I've been trying to figure out like how I can give back to that industry.
Yeah.
And so I think, so one of the things that I'm going to do this year is I'm going to start a nonprofit, and the goal of it is to be able to send police canine handlers to trainings outside of their normal training group. Because if you do the same training all the time with the same people and the same dogs and the same scenarios, you're not growing and you're not getting better. And that's one of the biggest issues in the industry is the fact that there isn't the availability to go attend other trainings. Having been there for 10 years, 10, 12 years in public safety,
Hmm.
they don't make a lot of money. And so, and they, a lot of times they have to pay out of pocket to go, attend these courses. And for them to, spend $500 on a plane ticket and then spend another $500 on a course, or, not even a plane ticket, but still drive.
Yeah.
Um, it, it's just, it's a burden that they don't need. So my goal, the nonprofit, the plan is to be able to have people donate to it, be a write off for them, and then give it out to these canine handlers around the area and send them to um, organizations that offer quality training around the country. So, and I know I know a few of them. I've done training at some of them. So the
Mhm.
plan is to kind of vet where the training is going to happen. So I know that they're going to get quality instruction, and then they can bring it back and share the knowledge. So,
That's really cool. That's really, really cool.
but I can't do it by myself. So I gotta raise the money. But yeah, the plan, the attractive part of that's going to be nonprofit. So um, just to every dollar in is gonna plan on going right back out. So
That's wicked cool, man. That's kind of crazy. A lot of people, like including myself, who wouldn't really kind of think something like that would be as big of an issue, but that's a really good point. That's nuts. Is that kind of like a really big issue? Like across like that kind of like sub industry in general, I guess you could say.
yeah, it is.
Hmm.
Um, so and like I said, trying to figure out how I can give back to that industry the most. That's my thought now anyway. So
Wow, that's awesome.
yeah, yeah, canines are awesome. Having one um, on deployment, they truly are a force multiplier. It changes um, it changes the good guys, and it gives them added security and comfort uh, having a dog there. But then it's also um, a lot of people are afraid of working dogs, and they should be.
Yeah.
So having received a few bites myself, it if I didn't have the suit on or the sleeve on, I would not want to
Wouldn't be
experience
so
that.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really interesting though, man. Yeah, let me know how it goes. I'd love to watch, something like that get built. And, it sounds like you're pretty passionate about that kind of thing. And it sounds like it would be really fun to just even build it and be able to help, some of those people out. And that sounds really, really cool.
Yeah, no, I'll keep you updated. And then the phase two of that is actually going to be kind of tying real estate and that together, and finding some sort of commercial space around the area to have to host those courses that I'd be sending the handlers out to, but also to have a place for them to train that's not in the elements that they can come to. So
Hmm.
kind of mirroring the real estate and the canine all together. So
Even better.
yeah.
Wow. That's really impressive, man. Good for you. That's gonna be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited for it to happen. Now I just need to make it happen. So
Wow. What are the most effective resources that have helped you the most far on your journey? I know we kind of talked, a little bit about networking and how important that is, but
yeah, I mean, outside of that, I would say self-education, books, podcasts, asking questions. Um, don't be afraid to ask questions. Always trying to learn something. So yeah.
yeah. Hmm. Are there any like podcasts or anything that really stuck out to you, or any books like in particular?
Uh, so two of my favorite books that I've read, neither one have actually been real estate related. Well, one is Never Split the Difference,
I love
which
that one.
a lot of people know. It's actually going to be a reread. I'm going to reread it next year. And then the other one is Relentless by Tim Grover.
Hmm.
That, I don't know if you heard of that one or know who he is.
I haven't. It sounds
So
interesting though.
yeah, so Tim Grover was the trainer for Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, D Wade, and a bunch of other superstar athletes. And he essentially says that there breaks it down in the book that there are three classifications of people. There's the cooler, the closer, and the cleaner. And you could basically go from good to great to unstoppable. So, and it was just the stories that he tells about those athletes are pretty awesome. So, and I'm sure it helped that I read it right on the heels of watching The Last Dance. So having watching that series about Michael and then reading this book kind of might have amplified it a little bit, but I think it's still a fantastic book. So I've
Yeah,
recommended it, and people have said that it's a great book as well. So
it sounds really interesting. I'll definitely throw that one on my list. That sounds really, really cool. That's awesome. Um, what is something that you thought about business, networking, or wealth creation that changed as you went along?
um, so I for initially I thought I wanted to be an apartment syndicator,
Hmm.
uh, and I still might down the road, but it's definitely not as easy as I thought it was going to be, and it's going to take a lot of resources, a lot of time, and a lot of effort. Um, and definitely am not going to do it by myself. So I would say that's changed. Instead of being saying that, hey, I'm going to be a that's all I'm going to do is syndication. I've kind of taken a step back and like, okay, well, let's really let's reel it in a little bit and have a dose of reality. So
Yeah. No, that's great. Is the syndication you're in now, is that like your first one? Like being a part of that and stuff? Like how has that kind of gone so far?
yeah, it's my first one, and it's been great. Um, it's the assets performed better than expected. So I would say they did proper underwriting. And yeah, I actually got a call from um, one of the GPs, and um, we're gonna be able to get our initial capital back in a year ahead of time. So we'll be able to redistribute that. So
That's wicked cool.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, so it kind of worked out for
Yeah.
you. Wow.
Yeah.
It sounds like a pretty good experience, for kind of dipping your toes into that space.
Yeah. It was. Yeah, it's been good.
Wow. No, how did you find like that syndication? Like, did you kind of know somebody or, just kind of like look into it online and stuff? And like, how does
Yeah.
one?
I knew. Well, I worked down in North Carolina. I worked with a real estate group down there before I came up here, and one of the sponsors is part of that group as well. So
Oh, cool.
yeah.
hmm Wow. That's great. What is your best piece of advice to new investors that want to start and manage their rental portfolio?
Start and manage. Um, ask questions.
hmm
Ask questions. Find somebody that's done it, and ask questions, and maybe even see if they can't help you along the way.
That's so true. It's so important to really ask questions. And yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. I was just going to add, there's no sense in reinventing the wheel. If somebody's doing it or has done it, figure out how they did it and just do it that way. And
Yep.
if you find inefficiencies, then okay, you can fix those. But instead of starting from nothing, at least you have some sort of a shape of a wheel going.
Yeah, that's really important, man. I mean, people have done like bought properties and rented them out in real estate for tons and tons of years.
Hmm.
So like what's the sense in trying to reinvent the wheel over and over again?
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean, there are enough people doing it and um many of those that would be interested in like helping somebody start off and stuff like that and like there's no sense in reinventing the wheel. And like you said, if you come across something, you know, something a little different or I guess like out of the box, I guess you could say. um, then you cross that bridge when you get to it. But for the most part, I mean, the principles are kind of the same. And, many people have done it over and over. And, you just got to find the right people and you're off to a good start.
Yeah, and with the age of technology and the amount of resources that's out there right now, it's almost infinite.
It really is.
Yeah.
The information's literally right at our fingertips. And
It's almost to the point of information overload. So
yeah, definitely. It's crazy how close it is to us. And I couldn't imagine trying to do something like this like 40 years ago.
right.
Like I feel like in the overall big picture, it's like extremely easy. Well, I don't want to make that sound, like how it sounds. But put it this way. So the information's a lot more readily available now in an easier way to execute with than it was a long time ago.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said earlier, 20, well, I guess 25 years ago, because I'm getting that old, but 25 years ago, the only way to find real estate listings was either go to the office or look in the Sunday paper. Um, and now you have it on you're in the palm of your hand.
Yeah,
It's not
it's
paper.
insane.
So
Definitely. we live in a very digital age now and everything's there for us for the most part.
yeah, there's no turning back now.
Nope, never. What is a common myth about building a portfolio that you would like to debunk?
Common myth. Yeah, I think um, a lot of people don't get into investing in real estate because they hear all those horror stories of the tenants, termites, and trash, and the calls at 3 a.m. and all that. And I'm sure it does happen, but it's not as common as a lot of people
Think.
think. And the myth makes you believe it is. So, and besides, that's why they have property management companies.
Yep,
So,
definitely. I totally agree. It's to kind of like get advice and listen to people that tell you that, like, most of the time they haven't even tried it themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But, if you talk to someone who has done it, like yourself, or, like some other investors and stuff, like, they kind of laugh at something like that. It's kind of, I feel like it's kind of all about where you get your advice from, and what you actually like kind of take to heart.
Exactly. Yeah. Instead of asking those people that say, oh, I don't want to do it because, I get the 3 a.m. phone call and be like, well, okay, well, who gave you that advice? How many
Yeah.
properties have they owned?
Yep.
Did they have a free manager? Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, man. Definitely. It's really crazy the amount of advice you'll get out there, and a lot of it is not actually helpful at all.
Mm.
It's just a matter of kind of, listening to what's accurate and what's not. And yeah, it's crazy.
Yep.
Now, last but not least, do you read? And what is your favorite business, investing, or real estate book that you would recommend to anyone? I know we kind of talked about it a little before, but
Yeah. Yes, I do read. I actually, so this year I set a goal. My initial goal at the beginning of the year was to read 25 books. And then a friend of mine was like, well, why don't I make it 30? So I
all
made
right.
it 30, and I hit it. This was the first year I actually, focused on audio books as well, because I knew that was the only way that I was going to hit it. So yeah. But as far as business or real estate related, um, let me look over here. Um,
There are a lot of them.
yeah, so I really, really like Never Split the Difference. I think that's a great one. And then I did just finish The Hands Off Investor, and found that to be incredibly useful, knowledgeable, as far as being a passive investor.
Mhm.
Um, it was written so if anybody out there ever wants to be an apartment syndicator, read Joe Fairless's book on apartment syndication, and then read the Hands Off Investor, because it makes you think. So it's written for the passive investor, but if you want to be a syndicator, it can help you think about, well, okay, this is what my you know my capital investors are going to want questions to, and how can I best serve them. uh,
Okay.
so yeah, it kind of, it's like the LP and the GP, it's a book for each of them. So but they go well together, I think.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I've seen that one on like the Biggerpockets store. I haven't read that one. Is kind of like the main point in the book to try to like make your processes and stuff, and kind of be like, as hands off as possible, like to just kind of like have things run in the background and
No,
like automated.
it's more about vetting the sponsors, like
Okay.
uh, how to properly, vet the sponsors, and then vet the deal, understanding, water flows and equity splits and all that stuff. So
Oh, okay. All right.
yeah,
Yeah, it still sounds extremely interesting though. Same with the apartment syndication book. We'll have to pick
yeah,
those two up.
yeah. Another good one that I liked is Crushing It in Apartments and Commercial Real Estate by Brian Murray. I was actually a tenant of his up in Watertown.
Oh,
'Cause,
cool. All right. Mm-hmm.
yeah, so um, he's a real estate investor. He was actually a professor at the local community college, and got out of that, and he's a fantastic commercial real estate owner, and he owns a lot of the the area around Fort Drum. Um, and yeah, so I was a tenant of his, and now I was a student of his reading his book. So it's great.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool that, he owns, some of that area, and it was really, really local to you at the time.
Yeah, yeah. I wish he'd written the book when I was living up there. But
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'll definitely have to check those out. they sound incredibly interesting, and it sounds like there's a lot of information packed in those.
There are. Yeah, you could read the 2 syndication books probably 3 times each, and
Still pick up more.
Yeah.
Those are the best kind of books, though.
That's right.
But yeah, Jeremy, thank you so much for coming on here, man. It really means a lot. It was nice to talk to you again and hear your story. And where can you be reached on social media?
On social, let's see. My Instagram is just first initial last name, so J Wirths, and then you can find me on. I've got a Facebook page too, being an agent. So I've got that. Just search my name, Jeremy Wirths, and that's about it. Oh, I'm on LinkedIn too. You can find me on LinkedIn.
Cool. All right. Yeah, I'll find those and link them all below. And yeah.
And all your listeners need to go rate and review the podcast and subscribe.
Thanks, man.
Absolutely. Hey, you're doing great things, man. It's I'm glad our paths crossed, and keep on.
Yeah, it means a lot, man. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
But yeah, again, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It was amazing. I can't wait to see how that nonprofit goes, once you start getting that up and running, and that's going to be really cool, man. That's great.
Yeah, thanks. I'll keep you posted.
Definitely, man. All right, keep crushing it, and enjoy the holidays, stay safe and everything, and yeah, we'll talk to you in the new year.
All right, likewise.
All right, guys, that concludes our Creating Wealth podcast episode for today. I want to thank every single person that has listened this far. It really means a lot to know that people can learn from me and with me as we build wealth together. Hopefully you can take home at least one thing from this podcast that will improve your life just a little bit. If you could, please check me out on social. That's at Kyle Curtin Real Estate on Instagram, Facebook, and I'm on Biggerpockets. Until next time, let's build together.